Hello and happy official start of spring training day. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. Who's first in there, Tyler? It's a race to first.
Dave P.
Big winner, chicken dinner today. Happy start of spring training to all. Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli with you. And at 11:30 today, we're going to be getting a live look-in from the training complex. What is it? The Baycare training facilities and stadium down there in Clearwater, Florida. Our own John Foley is down there going to be joining us. He is currently, I think, in the cafeteria awaiting a Rob Thompson press conference. So we should get John fresh off the Rob conference. But Renee, if you're not following us on PHLY_Phillies, please do. Please give John a follow at 2008 Phils with a Z, because he is posting the sounds of baseballs being thrown and mitts popping as it is underway. And it's just nice to hear. One of my favorite sounds in sports is the sounds of not only the mitts popping, but the metal spikes on concrete as they walk out to the field. I love that sound as Tyler gags.
That makes me want to vomit.
I love it. I used to love it when I was walking on.
I did enjoy it. I'm not going to lie. As a soccer
There's
player,
something about,
it's game time.
It's audio triggering. Like, like you're getting ready for the game.
You take your slides up to the field and you put your cleats on after.
And then something was just always fun about like walking in spikes on concrete, because you could slide, you could fall, you could like do whatever.
Adventurous.
Yeah,
but also,
Renee, yours were plastic, weren't they?
Yeah, they're not metal.
Yeah, the metals,
exactly.
it's like nails on chalkboard.
Oh, the metal's a good sound.
It still is a vibe. But I want to also say, Jamie, because it is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to our loves in the chat. Joe,
Christy,
Christy,
Happy Valentine's Day.
Dave P saying Re and J or Re-J. Matt, Chris Lemmer. There were some others that were up higher. If you could just scroll up, I want to give the love to everybody. Philly Insider Podcast. Will, happy Valentine's Day. With Valentine's Day does mark, our countdown is down to 0. It could be -1 because as we were reminded in the chat by Dave or Matt, I forget who actually said it, the planes have landed.
Let's see if we can bring
that's a good idea. That's a great idea. Look at you, Jamie. Oh,
that's
boy.
That's just my coffee lid. Don't worry about it.
The planes have landed. Spring training has started. We are officially there. 43 days until opening day. Jim, Ray, listen, it's happening, guys. And I love that it's Valentine's Day because I've been waiting on the fact that Valentine's Day means baseball's back. Our love is here. Our love has returned. And it's time. And I look at these videos that John's been posting. First of all, I know it's sunny here, but it's not warm here.
Great.
And I'm looking at the videos and all the shots that John's been sharing on Twitter. And it's like, yep, that's where we need to be. But we will be there soon, guys. In March, we'll be down there ourselves personally.
Just under 1 month from now, we'll be going with our friends over at Philly Sports Trips. And if you're curious and are able, we'd love to hang with you. There's going to be a Charlie Manuel hangout, a booze cruise on St. Patty's Day, lots of baseball going on. So head to allphly.com and look at the events tab if you're able. We'd love to see you down there.
28 days.
Yes, I put it in the countdown counter today.
Until we are down in Clearwater ourselves.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. John will give us the weather report down there as well, as it looks sunny, and he was wearing sunglasses, so that must be nice.
I know. We'll be there soon, guys.
Yeah.
We'll be there soon. It's happening.
So lots to get to today. We're going to do our top 5 center fielders. We started it with right fielders the other day. We're going to talk to John, and we're going to give you all the news and notes regarding the Phillies and everything else around baseball. So let's get it started because yesterday the full players are going to be in camp next week. A lot of the guys are already there, working out and getting ready for camp. But I came across this stat yesterday, courtesy of our friends over at Phillies Tailgate. And we'll tie this into David Buchanan because the Phillies have come a long way. From 2012 to 2020, life was pretty miserable. 21, things really took a turn in the Bryce Harper era of Phillies baseball, which changed everything. But there was a lot of dark days ahead. And just to put in perspective how great Bryce Harper has been here, listen to this. This is the win probability added since 2020. The WPA, which is basically a nicer way or different way of saying WAR. How many wins you've helped your team achieve, more so than a replacement player. So the number one player in baseball, you'll probably hear from later today in our top 5 center fielders, Aaron Judge leads baseball since 2020 with 16.48 WPA. Number 2 in baseball, Bryce Harper at 14.16. Behind him, Freddie Freeman. Behind him, Mookie Betts. Behind him, Yordan Alvarez. So that's your top 5 in baseball since 2020. So after every plate appearance, WPA looks at the change in a team's chances of winning the game. So when we talk about Bryce Harper's clutchness, ability to drive runs in, have those momentum type of at-bats, I think that puts into scale just how freaking awesome this guy has been. And, we're not talking about the 2016 Phillies anymore. This is the Bryce Harper era of Phillies baseball, and thank God he's here.
Yeah, and listen, there are so many rankings and stats and things, but this is one of the more important ones, to say the least, that you love to see Bryce sitting at number 2 in. And it's one of those reminders, as we often find ourselves taking for granted the Phillies and the talent and guys like Bryce at times, that, okay, you know what? We have something special here in Philly. And when you see Bryce Harper sitting at number 2, and I love all the different stats, shout out to Phil's Tailgate because they do a really good job on Twitter of always bringing those like nuts and bolts and details and stats that you wouldn't even think to look up. But this is one of them that's a reminder, as you mentioned, Jamie, of how far the team has come, how far Bryce has helped the team grow, and the fact that this is a special talent and a special group that we have. So I love these nuts and bolts because it just gets you that much more excited as we're getting closer and closer to opening day to see what this 2024 season is going to look like for the Phillies.
We're really starting the show off with the hot take, talking about how great Bryce Harper is.
I know. Wow, guys.
It's just it's really nice to have him, and it's really nice to have him for a full healthy season. I think there was a damper on last year heading into it because there was that, Trey Turner's here. That's awesome. But Bryce Harper's going to miss at least half the year. And what a freak he was, returning from injury as early as he did. Now he's fully healthy and entering the year. I'm really excited to see him play first base every night. To me, that's way more exciting to watch than right field. And so, he's just going to be involved more.
It's just wild because, first of all, time just flies. And I feel like just yesterday, I remember being at Citizens Bank Park, taking video of Bryce learning and getting reps at first base, and all of us waiting with bated breath of, how's he going to look at first base? When is he going to get back? How's he going to get back? All the questions that were going through our minds. And the start of the season, we weren't as excited because we knew Bryce wasn't going to be playing. And now this season, although many people may be pessimistic for the lack of big moves the Phillies made this offseason, at the end of the day, you're getting from day one, spring training, everybody is there healthy, knock on wood. Brandon Marsh, of course, as we know, different situation, but he should be back quickly. This team, the bulk of the team, the core of the team is all there. And it's always important to take time to appreciate what we've got, because we do take for granted at times the greatness in our very own backyard. And so this stat specifically is one of those moments. It's like, all right, let's take a step back. As much as we are upset because Diego Castillo is no longer in a 40-man roster.
Don't worry, we'll get to our remembrance of James in a little bit. We'll pour one out.
Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Zach, everybody, because even Zach being named as I was reading about Cy Young favorites, and he was, of course, in the mix. All these blurbs and excerpts and stories and updates we're reading, it's like, all right, let's do this. It's time.
So a couple other Phillies news and notes before we get to the big David Buchanan news. Jim Bowden, who's a former GM in baseball, now he works for The Athletic. He did the best remaining free agents list and where he thinks they should go and what kind of is the best fit. And the Phillies popped up on one of the right-handed bats, utility man. Whit Merrifield. This is what Jim Bowden had to say about Whit Merrifield and the Phillies. I felt all offseason that his best landing spot would be with Philadelphia, where he can be the 10th player, in quotes, filling in at second and in left field with the ability to also play some third base, center, right field, and DH. And when you put it in perspective like that, like Whit Merrifield, I think was like a 0.7 WAR last year. He's not like that exciting, but the fact that he can play pretty much every single position for you, I think is perfect. Would I prefer an Eddie Rosario, a more true outfielder that can play center and left for you and give you some more insurance? Sure. But the idea of giving Stott a day off, giving Bohm a day off, going into right and giving Castellanos a day off, who really hasn't had many people that can play right field the last 2 years. It's really appealing. If the Phillies are going to bring somebody else in, the versatility of Whit Merrifield is pretty damn appealing.
Listen, I've been saying this since last year when we were talking about some names that we could see as good additions for the Phillies. Jordan Montgomery and Whit Merrifield were two of my guys that I remember listing for that exact reason. For the fact that this group has the core already established, the talent's already there of a win-now team. You just need some pieces, veteran pieces, versatile pieces, guys that have won before, guys that have been in the league for several years that are major league ready. Someone like Whit Merrifield, which is the exact same reason I like Jordan Montgomery. I know we all do, obviously. But it's more than just the talent, because as we know, to win a championship, it's got to be a mixture of a few things. The chemistry, the hunger and intensity, of course, the talent, understanding game management. We just saw that in the Super Bowl, which is why the 49ers ended up losing a few different things they did wrong in mismanaging the game. They lose to the Chiefs. You need to have guys that in those big moments know what to do, can be on the same page. And a Whit Merrifield, who's not a flashy name and not, someone that you're going to jump off the page excited about, would be a solid addition just when you talk about around the edges for what he can bring. So I like the fact that he's been tied to the Phillies again, because if you have a chance to bring in a 35-year-old Whit Merrifield who's going to be that versatile plug-in piece wherever needed, I think it would be absolutely beneficial for the Phillies.
Tyler, your thoughts on Whit Merrifield?
I've been super interested in Whit Merrifield for a while now. Now, granted, again, you're not going to get Royals second baseman Whit Merrifield. No. You're getting Toronto Blue Jays utility guy Whit Merrifield. But I think that there's so much value in having a Whit Merrifield on a good roster where you know that this guy at any given moment could play left, could play center, could play second. To have a guy that can give you a multitude of positional value is so significant, specifically when your bench stinks as bad as it does. He's another one of those guys that when the three of us talked about players that we think are probably going to get higher value contracts than the Phillies are going to offer, another guy, we talked about it yesterday, another guy who the longer he sits around, the more likely that a team like the Phillies, and maybe not the Phillies, but a team like the Phillies who are looking for a 10th player are going to get this guy on a really team-friendly deal.
And
he makes a ton of sense.
I was going to say, in addition to his versatility, I had to find the numbers in my notes. Of course, as you mentioned, he is 35 now. He's not the same Whit Merrifield, but his numbers are still great. When you look at the last 8 seasons, strikeout percentage of 15.9%, of course, with the league average being around 22%. And also, he's a guy that can just give you good at-bats, steady at-bats of making contact, not striking out, keeping innings alive. So even on the offensive side with the at-bats he can give, he's not going to be someone smashing the ball out of the ballpark, but he's going to be, and I know in the chat I'm seeing someone that could be a pinch, he can pinch run. He can do a lot of different things, and he can be that true utility piece. Who is that guy right now?
I'd rather him than Jake
exactly.
/ Nick Cave.
Exactly. We've talked about it. We don't want that to be Jake Cave.
Yeah.
It's a huge upgrade over Cave on both sides of the ball. So I think to see his name brought up again, it's exciting. He finished the season hitting 272, posting an average of 232 in August, a 194 average in September. Whit Merrifield, come on to Philly.
By the way, it's a guy that over the course of his career has a strikeout rate of under 16%, and the last 2 seasons, the highest of his career, with the exception of his rookie season, they went all the way up to 17 and 18%.
Right,
he's a ball
still
player.
Lower than most of the league.
He's a ball player. He's a guy you like having on your roster. Just plain and simple.
It's professional at bats, and he's not going to walk a ton. His 272 to 318 OBP it's not a stark contrast.
It'll give you good at bats.
He only walked 36 times last year, struck out 101 times, just the 4th time in his career that he struck out over 100 times in a season. I don't think that there's a downside to signing a guy like Whit Merrifield.
Exactly.
When you have the glaring need of a super utility 10th type guy.
And his market is projected the value around $6.4 million, guys.
That's a steal for me.
That's not a lot of money.
Yeah, like I don't want to
million.
rely on the trade deadline, because with this 3rd-team wild card now, you've seen the past couple of years that the trade deadline doesn't yield you as many options anymore as it used to. You know, you used to be able to go out and get a Corey Dickerson at the deadline who steps in and becomes one of your better players in the second half of the year. Now so many teams aren't dead and are still in it that not as many teams sell pieces. So if you can spend $6 million now to prohibit a move at the trade deadline, you should probably go ahead and do that. So let's get to the big news. The Phillies did make some moves yesterday.
Wow.
Right-handed pitcher Caleb Ort was claimed off of waivers from the Marlins. And he has been made room on the 40-man roster. And we hardly knew ye. We love you. James Castillo. Some of your friends call you Diego. I call you James.
I cannot believe you tweeted out James Castillo. Like, Jamie knows firsthand that James is Diego in Spanish, because that was your Spanish name.
Yeah.
You basically had a nickname for him and everything.
I did.
You were calling him James. He was James to my Yoro.
Yeah,
so it's
it was a tough
heartbreaking.
day. It was a tough day.
Did you cry?
A little bit.
That your namesake is gone?
James Castillo, if you want to get a beer, and if you're in Clearwater when we're down there, I'd love to get a beer with you. But hopefully you find a landing spot, as he was designated for assignment. Then the Phillies brought in an old friend, a familiar name. If you remember 2015 Phillies baseball, David Buchanan gets signed to a minor league deal with an invite to spring training. And right-handed pitcher Andrew Bellotti and Simon Muzziotti also got optioned or outrighted to Lehigh Valley as they went through waivers unclaimed. So big moves yesterday. Obviously, David Buchanan was here, and this is from Rich Hoffman's morning newsletter, which I encourage everybody to sign up for. It's thoroughly enjoyable. Rich does a great job with them. David Buchanan made 35 combined starts for the 2014 and 2015 Phillies. Pause. David Buchanan was starting games for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Let that sink in.
Look how far we've come, people. Resume. Both of those teams were, in a word, terrible. And so was Buchanan's 2015 season. In 15 starts, he had a 6.99 ERA and a 1.85 whip.
Ooh.
It's almost impressive that he managed to get 15 starts with those numbers, Rich says. Welcome back, David Buchanan.
Guys, I have to...
that's not good.
I have to give you this list. There were 14 players who started a game in that 2015 Phillies
I have the
season.
starting lineup the last game he started.
That one's bad. I'm talking about the starting rotation.
14
different guys made a start for the Phillies in 2015. Now, I'm going to give you two because they're probably the two most notable names. Cole Hamels made starts, obviously, and Aaron Nola made starts for that team. I'm curious how many more of these players you guys could give me.
Oh, man.
That was starting?
Suck with, like, chronological
That's it. So 14 players started at least one game, and the two of them are, well, three of them, Buchanan's another. So how many of the other 11 could you give me off the top of your head?
AJ Burnett, was he here?
He did not. Was not on the team that year.
Was he 16?
Yes.
Yeah, he might have come the next year.
Ooh. See, I try to put this time behind me.
I'll be super impressed if you guys give me more than like the top two, because the names are going to be like, oh my God, that's a real person, and they pitched for the Phillies. So the pitcher that made the most starts that year for the Phillies was Aaron Harang.
Oh, wow.
Jerome Williams made 21 starts.
The junkyard dog.
And then after that, here are some of the names. Adam Morgan, Sean O'Sullivan, Jarrett Eichhoff, Chad Billingsley, Alec Asher, Kevin Correa, Dustin McGowan, Philippe Almont, and Severino Gonzalez.
And where are they all now?
What a walk down memory lane that is. So David Buchanan, welcome back. And here is, to complement that fierce rotation that Tyler just read you, here is the starting lineup the last time David Buchanan made a start for the Phillies. And this is courtesy of Luke Erciani. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Luke, but I think I'm Erciani. We're going to go with that. If you know me, you know I suck at pronouncing names. Here is the lineup the last time David Buchanan started. Leading off and batting first at shortstop for your Phillies, Freddie Galvis. Second, Aaron Altair playing center field. I had such high hopes for him. Batting third, I swear he's going to put it together any day now. Michael Franco, your cleanup hitter. Woof. Darren Ruff in cleanup. Frenchie Jeff Francoeur batting fifth and in right field. Andres Blanco batting sixth and playing second base. Mr. Turkey Bacon himself, Eric Kratz, playing first base and batting seventh. Cameron Rupp, eighth and catching. And David Buchanan, pre-DH days. In my day, kids, the pitchers used to have to hit. Batting ninth for your Phillies.
Whew.
Those, my friends, are dark, dark days.
So when we're complaining about the lack of big moves this offseason and how the Phillies need a bullpen arm and they need an outfield. Yes, and they still need some of those pieces, don't get me wrong. But it could be this. But instead we've got this. So just perspective. Every once in a while we need these trips down memory lane to remind us how far the Phillies have come. And also, if you want somewhere that you can always guarantee that you're going to get the most bang for your buck and support and have people there that are helping you out, that's at Mortgage CS. Mortgage CS is a great job. It stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, a white glove service right here in Philadelphia and they're located and working with clients coast to coast, several different states around the country that they're working with their clients. And over at Mortgage CS, they want to make sure they alleviate as much of the stress as possible of the house buying process. There's a lot going on when it comes to planning for your future, planning for your house buying. And over at Mortgage CS, they're there to help answer any questions you may have and alleviate the stress, and always just available 24/7. Their customer service is one of the best things that I appreciate about them. 24/7 they're available. Text, email, call, reach out. Their CEO, Ben, has given you his personal phone number. It's right there on your screen. But for those listening across podcast platforms, 267-391-7425. You can also at any point email Ben at mortgagecs.com, and you can reach out and ask questions. Now, they're there to provide exceptional customer service, but also want to help their clients get ultra competitive rates. They look to compare rates and find, as they're looking through multiple lenders, a deal that works best for you and for your family. Now, as an independent mortgage broker, licensed coast to coast, they also want to make sure that as the spring purchase market is heating up and, everyone's having questions around home buying, especially those first-time home buyers in this spring season, that they want to make sure they're staying ahead of the game, helping you be prepared, answering those questions, and helping you stand out to find your dream home for you and your family. So Mortgage CS also offers refinancing options where they will include rate and term refinances for a rate payment reduction or cash out refinances, really just helping you to be able to tap into home equity. So you can make the smart choice whether you're home buying or you want to refinance and utilize Mortgage CS. So head on over to Mortgage CS because we want to make sure when you hear the word mortgage, you think of Ben and Alec. You think of Mortgage CS. Save Ben's phone number, save his email, or also head over to mortgagecs.com/PHLY. If you want to chat with them about Philly sports and talk about spring training, if you want to talk about home buying, if you want to talk about the weather, whatever it is, they're always there to chat and answer any questions you have. Now, this advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval and certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID number 1464766. And again, visit mortgagecs.com for more information today, guys.
Yeah, and with all that money, Alec and Ben are going to save you. You can take some of those savings. And if you're a card head or you just need some new Phillies spring training gear, whatever it may be, you should head over to Wheelhouse Cards because they have two great locations in Wayne and Westchester, and they're our go-to sports card, gift, and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. Their motto is cards and community because a love of sports unites us all. That's why we're all here hanging out on the internet together. Or if you're listening on podcasts, they carry all of your favorite card brands like Top Chrome Baseball, Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and more from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 brand, which is the hat I'm wearing right now, which are great hats. Junk Food, Starter, and one of my personal favorites, Shibe Vintage Sports. And if you're looking to have your sports card collection graded, well, Wheelhouse simplifies it for you, and they offer PSA grading submissions. They also host a ton of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every single month. So stop into either of their stores in Wayne or Westchester, open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. and use code PHLY to get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. And also be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards. All right, we'll be talking to John Foley momentarily from the Baycare complex down in Clearwater, Florida. But today could be maybe some percolation on the free agent market. According to John Morosi.
I do want to say, though, Jamie, before we even get there, you forgot some of the incredible stats of our latest additions for the Phillies because people need to know more about Buchanan and Caleb Ort.
No, no, they don't.
So you forgot the fact that for the last 3 seasons from 2020 to 2023, Buchanan has been working on his game with the Samsung Lions in the Korea Baseball Organization. He had a 3.02 ERA. He combined to go 54 and 28, had 539 strikeouts, pitched for 699 and 2/3 innings, and he had 191 walks and 113 starts. And then for Caleb,
do you know what this does for me?
For Caleb Ort, who at 32 years old, we saw make his opening day roster with the Red Sox back in 2023. We talked yesterday about the Red Sox looking to ship out some players. We weren't expecting it was going to be Ort as the guy that came to the Phillies, though. But that being said, in 34 appearances with the Red Sox and AAA up in Worcester,
Mass.
He combined for a whopping 2.4 with a 4.67 ERA, 17 walks, 40 strikeouts, and with up in Boston, 6.27 ERA, 25 walks, and 51 strikeouts. Guys, these are the additions you've been asking for. The Phillies brought in some more pitching arms. They brought in some veteran pieces. We literally talked yesterday about the Red Sox looking to get rid of some guys and some trades, and we thought it was going to be Jansen, but it was Ort. Little did we know. Here we go. Here we are, around the edges, guys, around the edges. So now add to that ray of sunshine with some more positivity.
I hope we don't even see Caleb Ort pitch for the Phillies this year, because that would mean things probably have gone very bad.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of, we'll talk to John about this. This Phillies team doesn't have a lot of storylines. I mean, there's maybe 2 actual spots that are up for grabs here. And if they bring in a Whit Merrifield or they bring in, another more qualified pitcher, what they're doing is basically just grabbing a ton of guys with 1-year minor league options left and seeing if they could salvage them, turn them into something. I don't hate them for it, but the reality is most of these guys are not going to make the team. There's really 2 spots. And if you go out and sign somebody, there might only be 1 spot left. So not the most competitive camp in the world, as most of the roster spots are spoken for. So that it seems like they're just throwing this wide net of guys that they can send down to Lehigh Valley to start the year. Most of these guys kind of stink. And, if you're bringing in David Buchanan, he wants to get back into Major League Baseball, maybe you think you can salvage something. Caleb Cotham has been working these bullpen sessions with our friend John Foley, who's been watching. We're about to get to him. But on that note, before we get to John, John Morosi says today could be an inflection point for a lot of these free agents. Tomorrow, all teams are going to have the ability to place players on the 60-day injured list, thus freeing up 40-man roster spots for free agent signings. Ooh. So Morosi speculates starting today, tomorrow, maybe into Friday, could be a busy time for these remaining free agents. But screw that. Let's get some warmth and sunshine and mitts popping. Wow. And look at that, folks. What a beautiful scene. That is John Foley live from the Phillies spring training complex in Clearwater, Florida. John, hello.
Hey, I got to tell you guys, there's a slight breeze here. So, it's a little bit chilly. It's like 68, 69, but with the breeze, maybe more like mid-60s. So it's rough, but we're making do best we can down here.
We feel for you.
I love this shot though. First of all, John's giving us meteorologist John Foley right now. Like I feel like you're pointing. This is not a green screen though. It's real. This is really live happening. Hey, it looks fake. Beautiful.
Hold up today's newspaper with the date on it to verify this is real.
Verify that it's real. So this is an area right here. I'll do my best. This is an area. You see the pitchers back here, catchers back here. They call this area the 7-pack because they get 7 pitchers and catchers going at once on their warm-ups here. So it's pretty fun to watch. If you think you can hit a major league fastball, I guarantee you can't. See this place.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to sit in the Diamond Club a couple times. I am nowhere near foolish enough to say I could even make contact with these major league guys. Who do we have pitching there, John? Anybody notable or some of the minor leaguers? What do we got?
So earlier, I think we've got some footage up on PHLY on Twitter. We had Wheeler, Suarez, and Covey out first. Then we had Mercado, Nelson, Walker. Right now, I think the more known guys go first, and then
obviously like first day of school, kind of first day of school vibes there, John. Everybody's happy to be there and just happy to get back to baseball.
Yeah. I mean, the vibes couldn't be better. I mean, spring, everybody's here, just getting back, saying hello to old friends. Not me, I'm like the new kid at school, but I see this with other people. And it's just a great time. It's not the love.
Yeah, and it's so cold there. You're wearing long sleeves. Wow, must be tough. But John, listen, as you are giving us this live look into what's happening down in Clearwater, what has been you just got down there earlier this week. What's been the initial takeaways that you have of the start of what I call syllabus? It's syllabus day today of guys getting settled in, getting going, bullpen sessions, pressers. Give us the sights and sounds for those that are unable to see all the tweets that you've been posting so far.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is organized chaos. Like there's a lot going on. I mean, this action right here with the pitchers is not the only thing going on. You've got folks on all the different fields working on different things. But there's a system to it. It's not a free for all, but that's sort of the feel I get is like there's so much going on. There's so many people here, so many players, coaches, so many media folks. And then you've got any direction you look, you've got Phillies training. So it's hectic. It's a little crazy, but but it's also laid back and it's organized, well organized. And I think that's it.
Lovely. John, have you seen many of the other vet offensive players there getting any work in, or are they mostly all reporting next week?
I saw Stott. He's here. Mostly the pitchers and catchers though. Real Muto and Stubbs were back here earlier. I think they have replacement catchers in now, right here behind me. But I'll keep my eyes open for other folks arriving early. But Bryce Harper was definitely one of them.
We'll let you go so you can get back to work. But did Rob Thompson in his press conference have anything interesting to say, or more or less just happy to get to work and be back on the diamond?
He's going to actually have more availability after these practices. I think around 1 o'clock. So we'll bring you what we can from that. I don't know if we're allowed to stream it live.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah,
right after.
We'll get it up in some capacity. So if you're not following John at 2008 Phils on Twitter, make sure you are. Make sure you're following our show account, PHLY_Phillies. John is down there. We're going to be doing daily check-ins with him. He's going to be posting a ton of video content. He will take you to the Bay Care Complex in Clearwater, Florida. John, we appreciate it. Good luck at your first day at school, and we're all pulling for you, buddy.
Hey, thanks, guys. Stay warm.
See ya. Man, just looking
Officer
at that.
Foley. People in the chat are saying it looks like a police officer. I like that, Dave P. He's giving Officer Foley vibes with the sunglasses and the button up. It's what a difference. I mean, I know MBDBDBF saying, to be fair, it is legitimately cold down here. They had a low of 48 this morning. Meanwhile,
48.
we had snow yesterday, like a wintry
MBD.
mix, I should even say. And today was freezing. It was
Today
so
was real
windy.
cold.
It was very
Thoughts
cold.
and prayers,
so,
MBD. Thoughts
yeah,
and
it must
prayers.
be rough down there in a low of 48. I'll swap and take a low of 48.
Our
in a
next
heartbeat.
high 48 is not till next Tuesday.
But
There you
I
have
saw
it.
next week's winter system is the meteorological close of winter.
I was going to
fronts.
say,
So we're
spring
close.
is here.
We're
Punks the
close.
Tiny Phil did see his shadow.
Yeah.
So we're getting spring, which means this is like the last, hoorah
Yeah.
of winter weather.
All right,
and then
Tyler.
we'll be down there with the warmth.
I got a scratch. I got an itch, and I want to scratch it. Show me a little bit of Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, and Dylan Covey tossing in the bullpen. And let's just take a moment of silence to look at some live baseball.
This is our moment of zen.
Yeah, it basically is. It's our bullpen moment of zen. Full uniform, pitchers throwing. I mean, if that doesn't give you a little bit of baseball
listen to
excitement.
that sound.
And it's popping.
There it is. Look at the sky.
Beautiful.
Look at the turf.
Palm trees.
Wait. It's us again. I don't want to see us. I want to see that.
I want to go back to baseball.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's the sky is beautiful. That looks that looked like cinema. It's cinematic. It was beautiful.
John's a great cinematographer.
Oh my gosh!
So make sure you're following John all spring training. He's going to be down there for the next 6 or 7 weeks, whatever it is, every day. And he's going to be writing on allphly.com. Hopefully, we'll sit in on a couple interviews, maybe get an interview or two. So John is a beat writer full-time for PHLY Phillies, and we're so excited he's down there and has the opportunity to bring Clearwater to all of us.
And as Ray and Dave are saying, we could watch a raw feed for the ambiance. That is,
Seriously.
I like that, Ray. Our moment of pen instead of zen. That's our moment of pen. I see what you did there.
That's why
I see
you
what
get
you
paid
did
the big
there.
bucks, right?
For sure, because that is the whole baseball ambiance moment of zen that they've just been releasing. Like, we could easily, you don't even need to hear from us. Let's all just watch that in all, because that sound, I feel like I could feel it and smell it. Like, I felt like I was there.
warm.
Yeah. Suddenly I'm not cold anymore. I could take this jacket off. I suddenly feel a lot warmer.
All right, we got a lot to get to because we got to get out of here sharply today.
We did good yesterday. We can do it again today.
We are going to do it. We're going to be out of here by 12 o'clock sharp. So we have a couple things to get to. We'll see if the free agent, hot stove actually heats up here in the next 48 hours. That would be pretty fun, because the fact that Blake Snell, Matt Chapman, Jordan Montgomery, and Cody Bellinger are all unsigned it's not unheard of, but it does feel a little weird that they're just out there to be had yet. I guess Bellinger's having a standoff with the Cubs. At some point, Scott Boras is going to say, all right, well, the Giants are coming in with this offer. Beat it.
Exactly.
And it's time to put up or shut up. So hopefully that happens in the next 48 hours. Basically, I read Jim Bowden's piece on The Athletic. Most of the guys were guesses. It was like, oh, Matt Chapman could go Blue Jays, Giants, Angels, Rangers, or so-and-so. The only one he kind of had like a strong opinion about was Blake Snell, and he seemed to think that Blake Snell is going to end up in the Yankees. That would make sense. They're already kind of all in. You only have Soto guaranteed for 1 year. You might as well go try. So we'll see if the free agent market heats up.
Right now, that's all it's been. It's been a lot of speculation of where guys are expected to go, which teams would be a good fit. Because at the end of the day, everybody they've been on the market for so long. You know how much you're willing to offer. On their side what they're looking for, and it's now a matter of waiting until it's a waiting game. It's a standoff, waiting until their numbers drop so a team is more comfortable bringing them in. Dylan Cease, another one who allegedly, because of course, pitches and catches reporting, all conversation seems like it's going to cease to happen. See what I did there? For Dylan Cease for a little bit, because it's teams are focusing on spring training. Teams are focusing on the roster they do have, and I think we're going to be waiting for a little bit, unfortunately, for those guys, but not our problem.
All right, let's get to our top 5 center fielders.
Yes.
We started with right fielders the other day. A little bit of controversy as I screwed the pooch and considered Corbin Carroll a left fielder. Would have had him in my top 5, but now he's going to be the number 1 left fielder because left field stinks. After going through all the outfield,
He's going to put him in a position he's not going to play. That's okay.
Right field and center field are loaded. And you'll see after we reveal the 5 center fielders today, left field is just weak in baseball. So we'll get to that one tomorrow. But today is the top 5 center fielders. And I guess I'll kick us off with number 5 on the list. At number 5, I have in Toronto, formerly a Houston Astro, Mr. George Springer. He was injured his first year up there. Didn't have his best year. He's now in year 3 or 4, is it, Tyler? Now he's stabilized. He's back to offensively and defensively being a really good player. I have him as the 5th best center fielder. Renee, who you got?
And to clarify, as Jamie was mentioning, we're going based off of where guys are projected to be playing in 2024. So somebody like a Brandon Nimmo, who now is going to be moved to left field because of Harrison Bader playing center field for the Mets. He's not on our list. He'll be there for left fielders, possibly. So I'm going number 5 with Michael Harris II. Now, Michael Harris, you might be wondering, why is he on my list? Because of the fact that he had a drop-off last year after having his NL Rookie of the Year season in 2022. Harris had an injury early on in 2023. He had a tweak in his back when he was trying to steal a bag, and it really did impact his game overall, especially his at-bats. Now, his defensive side of his game is the strength of his game, but I think that we're going to get an upside for him in 2024. It's going to be after what could be considered a sophomore slump, a third-year triumph or turnaround maybe for Harris, and I could see him having a stronger 2024 season with better at-bats than the numbers that he had last year, and then being a consistently steady center fielder. So I'm
Former Rookie of the Year.
I'm going with the Braves.
Tyler,
Michael Harris II.
Who you got 5th?
Yeah, I've been burned by this guy once. I expect to be burned by this guy again at some point in his career, but it's undeniable that he was a former Rookie of the Year, a former MVP, and last year he had a bounce-back resurgent year. There's a question that maybe this guy goes back to striking out 200 times a season next year. But until that happens, I'm going to go with Cody Bellinger at number 5. I know he doesn't have a job. He was with the Cubs. I expect him to be back with the Cubs this season in some capacity. I think, like Jamie, like you mentioned, whoever blinks first is going to lose this one. But I think if the Cubs and Cody Bellinger don't unite, it's a loss for the Cubs regardless. A 319 BABIP last year, if that rescinds back to the average of the league, which is about 292 since it was started to be calculated, the numbers will come down just a little bit, but he struck out less. He got on base more, and oddly enough, the singles went up, like the flare shots and the base hits, and it's probably why the BABIP was as high as it was, but I'm going to go with Cody Bellinger at number 5 until he proves me otherwise.
All right. Risky one. A little too risky for me. I didn't include him in my 5. Spoiler alert. But at number 4, I know it's a guy Tyler's real fired up about. Young phenom for the Chicago White Sox, our buddy Herb out in Chicago. This is pretty much the only piece they have to hang on to. Luis Robert, the center fielder, I have number 4. Power number surged last year. He has a chance to be something real special here. I think this is more like he's probably more on like the 5-6 range of being safe in your predictions. But I think if you project ahead another year of what he did last year, I mean, this is a kid that could play himself into a top 3 spot. No problem about it.
Yeah, my number 4, it's weird to not have him at number 1, but it's also weird that I didn't want to put him in my top 5 at all. This should be and could be his last season as a top 5 center fielder. It's Mike Trout. Listen, he's been injury plagued year after year. It's weird that at one point he was, and he still is one of the faces of baseball, but he was the best, the MVP, the face of the league, the generational talent. But he's been injured the last few seasons and hasn't been able to play over 100 games once since 2021. I don't think this year is going to be a healthy year for Mike Trout, but I still think in the games that he will play in for the Angels that he's still going to be a top center fielder. But I think this is it for Mike Trout, especially losing his counterpart, Shohei Ohtani. I think the Angels are going, even more. It's going to be a greater decline. But I do think for 2023 season, having batted 263, hitting 18 home runs, this year is going to be a regression. But I still think he'll be a top center fielder, if that even makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going number 4, Mike Trout.
Can't go wrong with Mike Trout. Tyler, who you got number 4?
Listen, even in a bad year, Mike Trout was still pretty good last year. A healthy season of Mike Trout. We'll see what happens. I don't know if that ever happens again, but I also chose Mike Trout as my number 4 center fielder on this list as well. Not a whole lot to add to what Renee already put together because
it's Mike Trout.
Listen, we know who he is. We know who he was.
He's great.
And even at 75% of what Mike Trout used to be, he's still a top 5 center fielder for me. I'm not going to add too much. I'll go Mike Trout number 4.
Yeah, and I'm going to take your guys' torch and just run with it. I have him 3rd. At one point when healthy, when playing full seasons, he was considered, the modern day Mickey Mantle. He's that good. It's all a question of, is his hamate bone safe? Is his back okay? He's just been plagued by injuries, and I'm a little bit of this projection is assuming he's going to be healthy this year, which is probably a foolish errand on my part. But when healthy, he's right there with these, my top 2 guys as potential best center fielder in baseball.
All right, I'm going number 3, Julio, 2022 AL Rookie of the Year, Julio Rodriguez. Tough to put him at number 3. He honestly could, and I struggled to with the top 3 because I felt like they were pretty interchangeable. Julio Rodriguez is on the rise. He's one of the best talents, young talents especially, in baseball. Listen, Julio Rodriguez had a great 2022 rookie campaign. 2023 followed that up, batting 275, 32 homers, 37 stolen bases, a 5.3 WAR. Again, wanted to put him number 1 or 2, but I just feel like for his youth alone, and just for the fact that I think we're going to just see more from my other guys that I put at 1 and 2, and being with the Mariners, he's number 3 for me, guys.
Well, Renee, I can't read, so apparently the rest of your graphic is all screwed up now because I had your 2 at 3 and your 3 at 2, and the rest of them look terrible.
I might have typed that wrong.
I'm just going to apologize to you in advance. No, that's on me. I messed up. I had some real struggles with these graphics today. So the guy that Jamie put at 3, and a guy hopefully we see on your list later on this this list for Renee, for me at 3 is Luis Robert Jr. as well. I think that this kid is the crown jewel
You're in
of
love.
I love this kid. He's the crown jewel of the White Sox.
You like him.
I would move heaven and earth to acquire a Luis Robert Jr. I think a lot of teams would as well. This kid has superstar potential. Between he and Adolis Garcia, they're 2 of my guys that I think are going to combine for maybe 80 to 90 home runs this year. I love this kid's potential. I'm going to put him at 3 just because the 2 guys ahead of him, I like them a little bit better, and they've played full seasons as of late. I know Robert played his first full season last year, but I'm going to put him at 3 for now.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you think this kid is potentially right there with these next 2, and at season's end, we'll circle back on that. He certainly has the potential to be. At number 2, I'm going to go with Julio. He's a phenomenal player. What is there to say about this kid? Everything he does is good. Could be this next generation. If he wasn't in Seattle, there was a real chance, like outside of Ohtani, and Aaron Judge and some of these other, he's good enough to be a face of baseball. He's that exciting. If you have a Julio Rodriguez that has come up through your system and emerged at center field the way he has, you're in a really good spot. It's a shame they play in Seattle and they don't get as much recognition, but he's changing that a little bit. Julio Rodriguez, number 2 for me.
Well, Tyler, I understand the confusion because I was torn between 2 and 3, especially. Luis Robert Jr. is my number 2. Now, the 26-year-old White Sox talent.
Says.
Yep, it's fine because honestly, I could see it either direction. And even as we were going through this, I'm like, dang, did I make a mistake? Should I put Luis Robert at number 3 or number 2? But either way, I know. Here's the thing. If he can stay healthy, Luis Robert Jr. is my number 2. Now, that's the key factor, staying healthy. 2023 was a great season for him. 264, 30 home runs. He finished with a 5 WAR on the dot. He's a great center fielder. His defensive WAR, 1.1 defensive WAR. He's really just an all-around talent. But again, like we mentioned with Julio, with the White Sox, which in itself causes you don't see him as much. He might get underrated a little bit. But I think the biggest key is if we can get those flashes that we've seen for an entire season, he stays healthy, I think he can be the number 2 center fielder.
So, Tyler, before we get to your number 2, MBD says in the chat, and I do think that's really good value, that Julio is about plus 1,200 to win the MVP. Tyler's talked about their starting rotation. It's really good. If Seattle just goes out and wins the division, I think that gets Julio Rodriguez in the MVP discussion. So MBD, I agree. I think that's pretty good value. We will do a preseason like gambling odds show one day where we talk about a lot of these things. But MBD, I'm with you. That's really good value for Julio. Yeah. Tyler, who you got number 2?
I think there's a very realistic chance that could potentially happen. I'm going Julio Rodriguez at number 2. And yes, I know he struck out 175 times last year, but this kid is a superstar
that's
already.
Modern baseball, baby.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a stretch of 4 games. I forget if it was in July or early August where he had 17 hits in 4 games, which is just insanity. This kid puts bat on ball a lot, despite the fact that he strikes out 175 times. 32 home runs last year, 275 average. I expect both of those numbers to go up. And he's playing in a cavernous ballpark. Yeah. That is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And the fact that he put up 32 home runs, I could see him getting up to 35, 38 this year.
If he stays healthy, Park, he did 40
he'd hit 40 easy. I think that this kid is an absolute stud. And if it weren't for the consensus number 1 across the board, he'd be the number 1 center fielder.
Yeah, I think all 3 of us have the same number 1 here. He's moving from right field on that short porch in Yankee Stadium because of Juan Soto's arrival over to center field. And it's wild to see a guy as big as this man is be athletic enough to play any position in the outfield. He plays a pretty good center field for somebody as freakishly large and muscular as he is. Aaron Judge, I mean, how fun would it be to watch this guy play as your everyday center fielder or right fielder or anything? Aaron Judge, one of the best players in baseball. Just an absolute freak. All of us have him number 1.
Yeah, and listen, I know we're talking about Julio as a betting odd to be an MVP this season, but Aaron Judge did win MVP as a center fielder, and you cannot deny his talent. He's definitely one of the best in baseball without a doubt. Aaron Judge, even with an injury last season causing him to miss a third of the season, still had a great season overall. Look, Aaron Judge is the number 1 hands down. We don't even need to get into the stats, the numbers, the amount of home runs he's hit, the huge gap between him and the next best guy. It's Aaron Judge number 1 until it's his number 1 spot to lose.
Yeah, and some people might be saying, where's Mookie Betts? Mookie's now a second baseman.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of positional movement in baseball this year. Tyler, any final thoughts there before we get to Guess That Swing on how good Aaron Judge is?
The last year that he played more games in center than he did in right, he posted a 0 defensive WAR, which is as average as you can possibly get. And I think his athleticism makes up for the fact that, he's probably maybe not a, quote, natural center fielder, but he's got a cannon for an arm.
But he's good enough.
And he's athletic and he strides well. A 0 defensive WAR by the way, the last time he played center field, he posted a 10.40 WAR, which, by the way, is good enough tied for 39th all time in the history of a single season baseball.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty freaking good. And I don't expect a regression, at least offensively this season. I expect a good enough year defensively to compete in center with Juan Soto now in right. This guy's going to hit 40 home runs probably and, be right in the MVP mix. Aaron Judge is the number 1 despite the positional move.
And there was a rumor back in the day, and I think Ruben Amaro confirmed it, that Phillies did ask for Aaron Judge in a trade. I forget what trade it was. I'm brain farting real bad. The Yankees said no on that one, but I believe the Phillies did ask for Aaron Judge back in the day. That would have been cool.
Watching him break home run records and then still follow up with an injured season of 37 homers when he was injured.
So do you know what the trade was, by the way?
What was it?
They asked for either Aaron Judge or Luis Severino to get Marlon Byrd.
That would have been an all-time fleecing.
Oh, my God.
I wish they had pulled that off. Yeah, a couple other guys, that Cedric Mullins was right there. Michael Harris was right there. So center field is a loaded position, as you saw with right field the other day. Loaded position as well.
A couple of sneaky good guys, too, like Jack Sawinski and TJ Friedel.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad position.
It's a deep center field position.
James Outman.
All right, let's get to today's Guess That Swing as we're getting out of here. Yesterday we were
all wrong.
All wrong. It was Pache was on
Monday. Skinnier.
And Tyler got tortured like us. Tyler, Kyle did not look as thick on his swing as I thought he would have. So we were wrong. But before that, we had gotten 2 in a row. We missed yesterday. So let's get to today's Guess That Swing. Tyler, the difficulty scale.
Good luck.
Oh, and so that makes me feel even more upset we didn't get yesterday.
So that's a 0
So
or a
I'm
1?
going to just give you a random name.
Oh, no, it's a 10.
Oh, 10 is the difficulty. Yeah.
like impossible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck.
Oh,
All right.
wow. Okay.
Left-handed.
Definitively, you got that part.
Oh, man.
Okay. I might
Just guessing.
I was
just throwing
gonna say,
a name
I might
out.
just give you a random person.
Oh, all right, I'm in. I don't know if we've seen any in the chat yet, but chat, make sure you're hitting that likes up button as we play Guess That Swing. And no, I'm not texting that person. I'm trying to text Tyler. I was writing the name in my contacts, and I don't believe I have this person's contact, so that would have been quite foolish.
You do have a pretty strong Rolodex of contacts.
I have some contacts, but not this guy.
Rolodex.
This guy is a little more bust out.
All right, Jamie's locked in.
This guy was high school football teammates with Mike Evans.
Wait, the person that's
That
the
I
swing?
guessed.
Oh.
It's a real obscure fun fact for you.
Are you feeling good about your
Did you
guess?
know that fun fact, Tyler?
I did not.
Yes. High school football teammates with Mike Evans.
See, I always put the guy that you guessed and Mike Evans, I feel like are like a decade apart. And they're not. They're the same age or close to it.
Mike Evans,
Oh, no.
surefire Hall of Famer. I don't feel very confident today, but I'm taking a guess.
All right,
This guy used to do chin to chest on his follow through, so that was my tell here today. So we'll see if I'm right.
All right.
I don't feel that strong.
I'm just gonna go with a random person because why not?
Does Christy say this looks a little beefy? I hope not, because my guy's not beefy.
I feel like he looks a little beefy.
The guy that you guessed, Jamie, was like as thin as me.
Skinny and athletic.
I see a little
looking, yeah.
beef.
High
Look at
socks.
his backside.
Matt Stairs, Christy guessed.
I mean, okay.
Weston Wilson, Tim Smith says. No, I don't think he hasn't really been a Philly for. Did he get called up a couple games last year?
Yeah, remember
Was
he hit
the
a
mid-September
home run on his first at bat, first major league at bat.
Yeah. So I guess he would technically qualify.
Okay.
But it's only 2006 to present day Phillies. All right, Tyler, are both answers in?
No.
Nope.
We have a time limit, Renee. We have 2 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Get your guess in. Trying to run a tight ship
I'm
here
trying
today.
to make sure this is a person that's from the 2006 on. I feel like this is an older
fire
guy.
away.
No, I promise you it's from 2006 on.
No, I mean,
The person she has in her mind.
yeah, I'm just confirming.
Renee,
Okay.
countdown is on. 10 seconds. We got to get out of here.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Just
The right foot turnover, too. That's not a good
bad.
sign.
It's real
Okay.
bad.
Rolling that right foot. Not good for the power.
I don't
All
know
right,
if we
Renee.
said this person
1
before.
minute.
Wait, can you confirm
No.
with me if we said this person?
No. Get your guess in. I promised people we'd be done at noon
I'm trying,
sharp.
Jamie. I'm trying.
The outro is going to have to be about 6
I
seconds,
don't know
guys.
if we did this person or not.
Just guess.
Just give me a name.
Just guess.
Man, you guys.
Because
suck.
I'm gonna take this time to tell you, Jamie, you're incorrect.
Okay.
Also incorrect, Renee.
Oh, whatever.
Great guess, but incorrect.
Jeff Jenkins,
Jamie
WM.
guessed Nick Williams. Renee guessed Joe Thurston. Also,
Oh, no.
just a throwout name here.
I told you, I'm just
that was
guessing a
wild.
name.
But here you go. Here's your answer.
Cody Clemens.
See, the way that the picture is makes him look a little bit bigger than he actually is because the arms.
Freddie Galvis. Sean
Whatever,
says.
man. I wasn't
Nobody
gonna
got
get
it
that
right.
one.
I mean,
That was
nobody
like,
got
what?
Cody Clemens, son of Roger.
Like what?
Joe
that's
Thurston is an absolute bust out.
That is.
What
How the
a
hell
name.
did you go, Joe Thurston?
I told you I was just gonna throw a name out there, and I
I
had to
see
double
that.
check.
All right,
Some
we got to get out of here
years.
today to make room for the rest of the shows on the PHLY
I panicked,
network.
guys.
Make sure you're checking out Sixers, Flyers, and Eagles, and of course the Union show. The jersey did get revealed in show. I took a look at it, the new kits for this year. So make
Yeah.
sure you're checking out all the other stuff. Going to allphly.com. We love you. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock for Renee, Tyler, and myself and John Foley down in Clearwater. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. See you then.
Bye.